All eyes are glued to the African National Congress, the lead-up to the party's National Elective Conference, which is set for December this year. This will host the conference where policy and leadership is set to take center stage. The conference will see branch members from across the country nominate and elect their new top 6 national leaders for the party. So far, President Cyril Ramaphosa has been endorsed for a second term, with Zweli Mkhize seeking to contest, as well as the COGTA Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma to join the bid. Gauteng ANC PEC yesterday announced that they would be backing Paul Mashatile for the position of Deputy President, while Justice Minister Ronald Lamola has been earmarked for the same position as well. But where does that leave current Deputy Leader David Mabusa? Political analyst Rebone Tau weighs in. Rebone, thank you so much for your time and thank you for joining us this morning. A lot of names being thrown around of particular interest. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma back in that ANC succession race or debate. What are your thoughts on that particular announcement?
Good morning. I think this is a very interesting conference, I must say, of the ANC. And the most confusing conference of the ANC when you look at all the names that have been put forward. Obviously, seeing now Dr. Dlamini-Zuma again contesting. We know that she contested in 2017. But there was a difference in 2017. She had also the backing of the Women's League at the time, which was led by Batabile Dlamini. She had the backing of her province, under the leadership of Sihlezi Galala. And these are people that we have seen that have lost power. The Women's League being disbanded, Sihlezi Galala not even in the PEC of the ANC at the current moment. You've got what they call the Taliban that won that conference in KwaZulu-Natal. And when you speak to some, you realize that actually even the province itself, some within the PEC are supporting Dr. Zweli Mkhize, some in the PEC are supporting President Ramaphosa. But it will be very interesting if this province will really pronounce on their preferred candidates, because the other person that is also coming up is Senzo Mchunu, who I saw a video circulating that he's also contesting for deputy president. So now you've got 2 presidential candidates, 3 presidential candidates in KwaZulu-Natal, 2 presidents and 1 deputy president and 1 secretary general in the form of Ntomiseni Ntuli. So it is going to be very difficult for Nkosazana Dlamini to get that overwhelming support that we saw her getting in 2017.
What does that mean if we, sort of turn our attention to the 55th Elective Conference for the voting power, the voting prowess that KZN as a massive province usually enjoys at these national elective conferences? If we are starting already to see the beginnings of a split of this nature, a 3-way split, it would seem, pointing at all these different candidates, so what does that mean for the vote, for the KZN vote come December?
This is the last time for KwaZulu-Natal to show its strength. 2017, KwaZulu-Natal did not get anyone in the top 6. That weakened them, and it seems like they're getting weaker and weaker, going to this 55th conference, because now they've got these candidates. The other provinces have pronounced itself. We're still waiting to hear on KwaZulu-Natal who will actually be backed by that province for probably the position of president and VP. We've seen, as you have indicated earlier on, the issue of Gauteng pronouncing itself yesterday, that they want Paul Mashatile, the current TG of the ANC, to contest for the endorsing for the position of deputy president. We know that Limpopo has also pronounced Paul Mashatile, and also Northwest also seem to be saying that they are also supporting Paul Mashatile. So at this present moment, Paul Mashatile is the only candidate for deputy president who seems to be getting support from 3 provinces, as I've indicated, Limpopo, Gauteng, and Northwest. And then the others, like Lamola, his province, I saw that they went to Limpopo to meet the leadership of Limpopo. But I don't know if that was really with it to go there after Limpopo has pronounced itself? Because I don't think that Limpopo can come back tomorrow morning and call a press conference and say, no, we're no longer supporting Paul Mashatile, we're now supporting Lamola based on the engagement that they had. That means Mpumalanga was actually late, to go to Limpopo. We saw that they went to KwaZulu-Natal, and when I speak to some people in KwaZulu-Natal, they're making it clear that the discussions was more about generations. They did not agree on any particular names. That really puts Mpumalanga on a back foot because they still need to get endorsement by other provinces.
I mean, rightfully taking a look at that deputy president candidateship, Paul Mashatile, clearly, as you've mentioned, already having the backing of 3 different provinces. Someone who's been surprisingly very silent throughout this nomination process is, of course, the incumbent, the current deputy president, David Mabusa. One would have thought he might have said something as a form of response or reaction to the Mpumalanga PEC backing Ronald Lamola instead of, backing another native of their own, being David Mabusa. But he has remained silent throughout this entire process. What are we to make of the fact that he has been keeping so quiet?
I mean, yes, he is quiet, but then when I speak to some people on the ground, are indicating that, and we've seen also the posters coming out. There was even a song that came out when he was in Kenya for the inauguration, a song that says Mungameli. We know Mungameli means president, So it seems like he's also vying for the position of president, But the question is that probably his campaign comes in very late, at this present moment, and who will move with him from the other provinces. Already provinces are saying that they're backing President Ramaphosa. So he finds himself also in a very difficult position, as we've been also reading reports, like the likes of Zweli Mkhize, is not supported by the former president Jacob Zuma. We know that there was a meeting that took place last weekend in KwaZulu-Natal, and then the issue that that even the deputy president, what he did in 2017, people feel that he betrayed the so-called RT faction. So it's clear that the RT faction will not accommodate him. So he finds himself also in a very difficult position as he contests this position of the president of the ANC.
It does seem, Rebone, that a lot of these provincial executive committees that have thrown their weight behind President Cyril Ramaphosa for a second term are consistently highlighting the fact that they have confidence and believe in his ability to lead the organizational renewal and unity that the party has been for a long time now trying to push. What do you make of that? Is he truly the man that can lead the party through this organizational renewal and efforts at uniting what seems to be a very fractured political party?
I think what we must understand, the president is just the face of the organization. He's the political head. But the issue here is going to be about the 80 women and men that will be also nominated for additional members of the ANC and their top 6. He can be the face, the political head, but the people, the team that he has to work with, people that need to go into that National Executive Committee, is people who are committed to this idea of renewal of the ANC, the unity of the ANC. Because if we go back to 2017, we all know how this NEC came about. It was a mixture, of both slates, and which has not really worked for the ANC also. But again, when you look at that conference, which was very interesting, normally the conference of the ANC starts on the 20th, on the 16th of December, ends on the 20th. But this conference of 2017, the results of additional members were only announced on the 21st. It even took time, So the ANC really needs to have strong men and women who understand the organization, who grew up in this ANC, so that they are able to help in this renewal. People who will also put interest of the ANC before their own interests. People who will not be a burden to the ANC, only wanting deployment but not caring about this organization. So ANC needs cadres that will carry it, not people that will want to be carried by the ANC.
If Ramaphosa does, in fact, secure a second term in office, what does that mean for the party's RET factions? Does his sort of increase in popularity and support mean a weakening and a dwindling of support for the RET, or will we see even more performances, more acts of rebellion, more acts of political mutiny, for lack of a better phrase, coming out of that particular faction over the next 4 to 5 years?
I think it will depend. Where I speak about the 80 additional members, if you will have some that will be elected, or if it will be a winner takes all, where those who are aligned to Ramaphosa, winning this conference and emerging within the leadership. The RT will remain an irritation, to some in the ANC. I don't see them going anywhere outside of the ANC. They know that the ANC is the only thing that they have, the ANC as an organization is a currency that South Africans love and appreciate, in spite of this, the decline that we've seen over, like for example, in the local government elections or in the 2019 elections, there was a bit of a decline of the ANC, but I don't see the RT faction going anywhere to form their own party. They will still remain to fight, because you must remember that what is going to be interesting is the next conference of 2027, where President Ramaphosa won't be coming back as the president of the ANC. So there again, I can tell you one thing, that immediately after 2024, people will also be realigning themselves, or even immediately after this conference, people will realigning themselves now, working towards 2027, because they know that the president will not be coming back. So it's not about that it's going to be the end of the road for the RT. They might target now 2027 and see who do they align with within the ANC politics.
The sense that I'm getting from you, Rebone, is that in as much as there's so much effort on the part of the organization to present itself as a party that is renewing, that is rebuilding, past the 55th elective conference, we may see an even deepening a fracture taking place within the organization. Is that what you're saying, that we can expect the party to perhaps even create deeper fault lines within itself past this 55th elective conference?
It will depend on the leadership that's elected in December, how they will approach, the cadres in the different factions. Because there's a saying that when you are in the ANC, that once you come from a conference of the ANC, members of the ANC must rally, dismantle all factions and rally behind the elected leaders, the elected leader of the ANC. Well, we have not been seeing that. We even saw at some point Ismakhashule immediately after conference, saying that 5 years is not a long time. Indeed, we're now in this 5 years, and he's outside, he's suspended, as the Secretary General. But it will also depend with the leadership, how they approach, how they engage those comrades who might feel that, okay, they were supporting a particular candidate and their person did not find expression. So it also needs, leaders who are able to actually engage with comrades on difficult issues within the party, the challenges that faces the party. But if you don't have leaders that will be able to do that, and this is not only a Ramaphosa thing, but it will have to be a collective of that National Executive Committee that will be elected in December.
Well, Rebone, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for joining us this morning. That's a political analyst, Rebone Tau, joining us there to talk about the ANC succession race, that winding road to the 55th elective conference in December, as more and more names are thrown into the basket for positions such as deputy president and president of the organization.